Welcome to the virtual towers of binary Arcadia, where the games go on long into the night. Death Stranding fans, we've got something special for you today. Rich and I are going to share with you today a bit of a game plan leading up to the release of Death Stranding. Unfortunately, we didn't receive review copies, so we're busying ourselves with this instead. But I think it's something, a good little guide, kind of a preemptive walkthrough, if you like, to to prepare ourselves to step into Sam's shoes. So without further banging on, let's jump into 15 things to be mindful of whilst playing Death Stranding.
Number 1, 55 gigabytes of space will be required on the PS4 to install. So make sure before the 8th of November you've got that hard disk cleared with 55 gigabytes of data free.
Luckily for Rich and I, we've got a weekend's wait until we play it, so I think the weekend prior, Rich will both be getting our PS4s up and running,
deleting a
loaded.
load of saves probably.
Yeah, in a panic.
Yeah. Number 2, bear with the slow start. Things will get better. Kojima has assured us.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, we know from what Kojima has said that the first half of the game perhaps is somewhat establishing a rhythm and a beat, and then after that he says it really gets fun. So I don't think he means it's going to be super boring, but bear with it. If you are feeling the pace is not quite what you hoped it would be, just give it time, let it blossom.
I also think that's natural that's going to happen when you start out on a brand new game. There's so much that needs explaining and stuff that it's always going to be a bit like that, and then it builds to a crescendo in the story as you get further on. So I think that's to be expected as well.
Absolutely.
Number 3, be mindful when setting routes about supplies to last the distance. Think about shoes and the amount of stamina that will be required to cross the terrain.
Yeah, so I think on this one, just take your time in preparation. As eager as we all might be to just jump into that first mission and get up and running, just take a little bit more time. Make sure you're prepared, you've got enough equipment, enough gear. We want to make sure we're the tortoise, not the hare in that respect. Otherwise, we might end up with egg on our faces. And
it needs to be mindful that when we first start out, we're going to be pushing into areas that aren't chirally connected. And as we've seen in videos, non-chirally connected areas have no access to the chiral printer. So that means if you run out of supplies, such as shoes, such as ladders, etc., you will not be able to print them.
You're flying blind.
Number 4, think about enemy encounters along the way. Decide whether to avoid or attack. Don't forget to harvest your bodily fluids. I never thought I'd be saying that out loud relating to a computer game. What odd time we live in.
Yeah, so I think with this one is, we're not always going to know what enemies are en route, but I think there's probably going to be some sort of signs, at least environmental features that we can be wary of. We know that rivers are going to be difficult to cross, especially early game. So that's one thing to be aware of. Timefall, if we have any way of finding out what the weather forecast is early on, well, again, that's something to factor in. And as Rich says, those bodily fluids are very useful for, both fending off the BTs and slowing them down so you can get the heck out of Dodge. So yeah.
Number 5, keep a close eye on terrain. Traversal can dramatically decrease stamina. Plan accordingly. So with this, when we say plan accordingly, if you're lugging up the side of a mountain, you're going to take more stamina than if you're cutting a more low-lying route that's not so rocky and climbing involved. You're not going to deplete your stamina and your shoes so quickly, and that'll mean you can traverse the landscape not only quicker but more easily.
Perfect. It's that tortoise and the hare thing again, and it's thinking vertically as well as horizontally. This is a fully 3D environment, and straight line's always the quickest route, but it doesn't mean it will actually be the quickest route because of the potential hurdles, obstructions, pitfalls along the way. So think smart.
Number 6, While exploring the landscape, look out for outposts and preppers. These can provide side missions, and if you help them, they can give you items, and relationships can be formed therein.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is quite a big unknown for us at the moment, but certainly preppers are vitally important to expanding your chiral network. As Rich points out though, perhaps getting extra items that might just make your journey that little bit easier. And we also know that the better the relationship you have with preppers and you foster over time by making more and more deliveries, the better the items you get from them, and I suppose intel potentially as well on the world around you. And
I think it's likely that some of these preppers will be giving unique items, so the only way of getting said items will be from these prepper missions. I don't think that's a stretch.
Yeah, I think that they could be part of the kind of collectathon, gotta catch 'em all aspect of the game as well. So
definitely
play it how you like to.
Number 7. If you come across mules, take a look around if you can. They have lots of valuable resources. Err on the side of caution though, as they can be very aggressive if they spot you. They will be desperate for your cargo. Pretend you're Snake.
Like it, yeah, absolutely. You're going to need to go into full metal stealth mode, you know, Snake style sieges on these mule bases. We know that their sole purpose is to kind of hoard, steal, pillage everybody's gear, so they're going to have some awesome gear there. Just make sure if you're preparing yourself to go in for the attack, you've really planned out every potential thing that could go wrong, because it's high risk but potential high reward. So maybe the mule sieges are a little bit later game when you've got some decent equipment to enable you to be successful.
I would say as well, and I think we've seen this in one of maybe the TGS trailer, that they can actually detect with their sensor arrays your cargo. So the easiest way to sort of safeguard against that is to drop your cargo outside of their sensory array and then go in.
Naked Snake.
Exactly that. And that gives you your best opportunity of sneaking into their base. Moving on, number 8, be social. The more we help each other, the easier the game will be. Leave signs, build things, share useful items if you have more than you need.
Absolutely. Don't just have that one-track mind, you know, beeline for the story necessarily or for what you want to do. Just spare that little extra thought for somebody else who might be playing the game and what might be useful, might be helpful to them. And I'm sure, you know, in turn we'll each benefit from that in our individual experiences. So be nice, play nice, be kind.
And at the end of the day, this is a collective game. You know, the idea of this game is it brings us together. It joins us into this great, massive chiral network, and part and parcel of that is sharing the experience with each other with items, weapons, resources, probably more than anything.
Yeah, it's the whole kind of meaning and feeling that I think Kojima's trying to put into the game. So I think it's going to benefit everybody if we play up to that, if you like.
Definitely. Number 9, always tries to leave your cargo in a locker. Print one if you can't find one. Timefall is not your friend. So what we're saying here is if you have to leave your cargo out in the world, maybe you've suddenly got to go on a side mission, you can't take cargo, always try and leave your cargo somewhere safe, such as these lockers. The lockers can be built anywhere from what we've seen using the chiral printer. That will take resources, but it means that your cargo won't be degraded by the timefall, because as we've established, the timefall degrades everything. Suits, boots, cargo, resources, it literally damages everything.
Yeah, I think the idea with this is just imagine the floor is lava. Don't put anything out unattended. Make sure you stash it in a locker.
Number 10, don't forget to rest. For your sake and Sam's. Grab a cuppa and let your stamina refresh.
Yeah, so I think with this one, you know, take a break, have a Kit Kat. Don't, you know, don't think you've got to just bash through this game and get it done as quickly as possible. Just let it breathe, let the experience breathe. Go and grab yourself a cuppa, as we've said, and just relax and let Sam heal up. I think it's mutually beneficial in that respect.
It's also worth noting here that there isn't a traditional pause menu. The way you pause the game is by Sam resting. So that's, I think, where it's also important to rest, because if you need to pause the game, that's how you pause the game.
Hang on.
Number 11. Speed skeletons and blue bodily fluids look vital for escaping BTs. One speeds you up, the other slows them down.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think we know we're going to be running into BTs throughout the experience. Hopefully some we can get away from relatively easy, other encounters we might be forced into. The rest, maybe there's an option there. So, you know, perhaps always it's good to have an emergency kit to break in case of emergency, in terms of a speed skeleton to run away from, and you know, the kind of the blue body fluids will help to slow down certain BTs, which will then, as I say, give you a chance to run the heck out of there.
Number 12, follow the beaten path. And what we mean by this is, if you follow in other people's footsteps, over time the terrain will be moulded into paths, roads even, that we've heard, and that will mean that your traversal through the landscape will be much easier to do. So definitely we'll look out for other people's footprints.
Perfect, yeah, you're kind of creating your own infrastructure in your game world with other people, and that's just, again, going to make it 10 times easier if you are having to do some backtracking, traipsing between locations, where you've got a tried and trusted route that just makes your life that bit easier.
Number 13, treat BBs as precious cargo. Look after it and it will look after you. The BB is the only way of seeing and detecting BTs, and without it you are screwed. Rock the baby, interact with the baby, increase your bond.
Bang on. You know, I think we're going to be encouraged to do this regardless, just because I have a feeling we're going to kind of get emotionally connected with our little BB buddy in the game. But certainly the BB isn't just there for fun, it has a use, and it will enable us to see BTs. God forbid we get caught with our pants down and a compromised BB which we can't connect and therefore see the BTs. So look after the little fella.
Definitely. Number 14, don't be a griefer or troll and spoil the story for other people by releasing spoilers. We're here for the experience and we want to experience it first hand.
Absolutely. I mean, we've already seen, I'm sure everybody else has, some of the folks out there on the net that I think have already spoiled the entirety of the story. Fortunately, Rich and I have not stumbled upon it yet. We've got about a month to go though until release, so blimey, there's every possibility that something might go awry, but certainly when you're playing the game, if you talk to anybody about it, don't ruin it for them. Let them experience it firsthand with that fresh impact, because we know an experience that Kojima carves is always a magical one.
Definitely.
So
and I think
let them have that.
I think that's a perfect point actually. If you are talking about the game with somebody, say you're on the PlayStation Network talking to them about, just be careful about what details you release to them. You don't know, unless you know where they are in the game, you know, maybe tread a little bit lightly until you know where they are, because it seems like there's going to be some jaw-dropping moments that are literally going to be like, oh my god moments from what we've heard, and we don't want to be spoiling those kind of moments for people, you know, including us. So just be mindful.
Spot on.
And finally, number 15, take your time and enjoy the journey. There might not be another game like this for a good few years.
Absolutely, Rich. It's going to be a very special experience, I think. And Kojima, you know, although he's come out and said there's going to be sequels already, we hope, you know, that's going to be in the oven for at least a few years. So enjoy it, you know, don't rush it. Just let it breathe.
I think the other thing, and I'm sort of there now, so we don't know how this game will score by critics. We don't know what it'll end up on Metacritic. We don't know what sort of reviews are going to come out. There's talk that it could be in the 90s. We don't know. But I think certainly me and Tabs, we're so connected to this game now because of what we've done, because of the fact that we've done these analysis videos, because we've almost hyped the game for ourselves. because we're involved in it together and with the channel. I think come rain or shine, we'll enjoy playing this game, because it's not going to be a rubbish game. So that I'm fairly convinced that it won't be a rubbish game. I don't think Sony would get all in on a game that would be rubbish. So even if it's an average game, I think me and Tabs have so invested in this emotionally and through the channel and stuff. I think we'll enjoy it anyway, especially sharing that experience like we will when we have the weekend together playing it with the 2 screens on our own PS. So I think it's going to be a really cool experience, and definitely one that we need to savour and not rush through.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, in Kojima we trust. We think I'm sure the gameplay is going to be solid, but I think more than anything, like Richard said, we love Kojima. We've invested so much time in studying the game, in Kojima, his previous catalogue. You know, it's almost a chance to traipse around in Kojima's psyche more than anything, which is just going to be an interesting experience in and of itself, let alone the fact that it's a game and potentially genre defining. And as Rich says, we're absolutely looking forward to this kind of special weekend we've got set up together. We're going to have this kind of dual setup on our PS4s, and yeah, it will hopefully be a weekend to rival the magnificence of our Breath of the Wild weekend. Definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're something like 2 weeks out, something like that. Maybe a little bit less when this video actually drops. Currently, as we're filming, this is sort of 2 weeks out. So yeah, it's really exciting times.
I mean, we'll definitely, Rich, have to get a picture for the channel of us holding our 2 BBs.
Definitely.
From the collector's editions.
Definitely.
That will be hilarious.
Yeah, 100%.
So what do you think, Rich? We can draw a line under that.
I think
That's
so.
Our little game plan and guide to preparing for Death Stranding.
Definitely.
And our journey into the world. So thank you everybody for watching. If you did like, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, a dislike, but drop us a comment to let us know why. Helps us to improve. If you want to see more from Rich and I, then don't forget to subscribe to that channel and ring the bell for notifications. And I think that's probably about it. Another one for the archives.
Stamped and completed.